how do I put this? Nigeria government right now is the most confused government ever. By the end of this video, you will understand why Nigeria has become a laughingstock. You will understand why this video is causing a lot of controversy and why many people are reacting aggressively over what is happening in Nigeria right now. So please, I'm urging you to just sit patiently while we watch the video.
Social media was blowing up over the weekend, but let's begin with a story that really got people talking. We begin with the New York Times that published an investigation claiming that the United States used intelligence from a screwdriver trader and small NGO operator in Onitsha, Anambra State, to carry out the Christmas Day airstrikes in Sokoto. The article, titled "The Screwdriver Salesman Behind Trump's Strikes in Nigeria," details how Emeka Umeagbalasi says he has documented 125,000 Christian deaths in Nigeria since 2009, but he also told the New York Times, allegedly, that he often does not verify his data. He acknowledged that his research was mainly based on, and I quote, secondary sources, including Christian interest groups, Nigerian news reports, and Google searches. The New York Times further claims, and I quote, that Mr. Umeagbalasi is the unlikely source of research, and this is a direct quote, research that U.S. Republican lawmakers have used to promote the idea that Christians are being singled out for slaughter in Africa's most populous nation. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Representative Riley Moore of Virginia, Representative Chris Smith of New Jersey have all cited his work. He said he has degrees in security studies and peace and conflict resolution from the National Open University of Nigeria and described himself as a very powerful and knowledgeable investigator, comparing himself with the veteran CNN journalist Christian Amanpour. All of this is taken from the article, not my opinion. Let's take a look at some reactions. Senator Shehu Sani wrote on Twitter, "It's unfortunate and tragic to read the New York Times report that the claim of Christian genocide was sourced from one Emeka, an Onitsha-based screwdriver trader and operator of a small NGO who falsely claimed to have documented 125,000 Christian deaths using Google searches. How such an unverified claim could tense up the U.S. lawmakers, president, and the intelligence community that led to an airstrike is one of the most foolish and comical historical events in our lifetime. This is shameful." Well, Sir Inyang also tweeted, and he writes, "Oh, but the media has been reporting community mass killings, killings in churches, bandits activities, terrorist activities, herdsmen activities, kidnappings, etc. I think Nigerians mainly want the killings and terrorism to stop, period." So, of course, those are some of the thoughts. Of course, amid many wide-ranging thoughts.
One thing is to watch the video, and another thing is to understand what the video is saying. By the end of this video, you will see the reason why the world is despising on Nigeria. According to the information available to us, the Nigeria government hired some individuals to start writing all the way from New York that the person that supplied information to the American government that warranted the Sokoto airstrike was a screwdriver seller in Onitsha. So, but that is not the main news of the day. The main news of the day is what had happened recently on Sunday in southern Kaduna, where about 100 members of churches was kidnapped by terrorists. Hearing this information anywhere in Nigerian news, please, I'm urging you to sit well, calmly, and comport yourself while we watch the video, because this is where the whole news is becoming more interesting for what that is going on in Nigeria government. What you're about to watch next will shock you. Let's continue. Don't go anywhere.
the thoughts. Of course, amid many wide-ranging thoughts, some people going as far as saying, see, this is how the $9 million is working. There are now think pieces coming up here and there. But let me start with you, Rufai. A lot of conversation around this. Because the man is a salesman of screwdrivers and other appliances or other, tools in Onitsha, does that discredit his ability to do investigative research?
I mean, see, I think it's a hit job by New York Times, and it is sad that media is doing this in the world. And for New York Times to say that it was solely this man's opinion that made the call for Christian genocide rife in the country is falsehood. They say people quoted him, people like Ted Cruz and the likes quoted him and all of that. Yes, they might have quoted him, but to say it's solely his report that tipped the balance is false. So let me give you empirical facts. Bishop Winifred Aniegbe, Catholic Bishop of the Makati Diocese, on the 12th of March 2025, testified before the House of Foreign Subcommittee on Africa on religious persecution of Nigerians, describing attacks on Christians and displacement and church destruction, all right, and an Islamic agenda to control land. In November 2025, they returned to testify at another House subcommittee on that matter. Reverend Remigus Ihula, Catholic Bishop of Makurdi, March 12, 2025, joined Bishop Aniegbe in the testimony before the House. Mushpa Ape, survivor of the June 2025 Yewata attack, also virtually testified from Benue, testified between the House Foreign Subcommittee on Africa, which she originally recounted watching her 5 children slaughtered.
Yes. Several people have
So there have been several accounts. So for New York Times to hitch it on this story and say the screwdriver salesman was the one that wrote this, is sort of like a hit job to me. And it even makes mockery of the American intelligence system. You get, if they say it's based on this. But I disagree with you, New York Times, as regards this case. And I've given empirical facts. And if there's more, yes, there's another guy called, I think, Francis Torr. He too has been a regular person that testify. In fact, he's worked with many U.S. lawmakers, In fact, he used to hold a position in Benue State. There have been many, and I can cite many other sources.
And just quickly, of course, when we talk about the $9 million, we know it's $4.5 million deal that has been done for a 6-month period. People are touting it as $9 million because it has that extra 6-month potential. Yes, but that's the deal that people are referring to when they see articles such as this. Dr. Abati, your take on this?
Okay, no, with regard to the contract with DCI Group to prove that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Yes, people said, well, maybe those lobbies are already working. That's why you are seeing this kind of story in the New York Times. However, I think for Mr. Ume Agbalasi, I think that's the name, to claim that, it was what you found on Google and also on social media. You see the damage that their social media will cause. Is what the Americans acted upon. I think that in its first place is presumptuous, because the American intelligence system, they don't have only one source. There are multiple sources, and those sources will be evaluated, and then there will be investigation. So to say it's one screwdriver salesman who is now screwing down Nigeria, I think Nigeria should not allow itself to be screwed down in that manner. Now, against what has been reported by the New York Times, before now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Nigeria, Yusuf Tuga, made it very clear that, look, it was the Nigerian government that provided intelligence to the American government, and that it was a collaborative effort, a point that was again, backed up by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. So how on earth did all that get reduced to the fact that it's one screwdriver man screwing things up and down that is responsible for the action? The other danger here is that it could cause problems between the North and the South.
Yeah.
Because now you say, let's put it where it is, Emeka Umeagbase, an Igbo man in Onitsha.
That's intentional.
So he's the one who has invited the United States to come and bomb people in Sokoto. That in itself is divisive. It's not the kind of narrative that should be promoted because of the implications. My third point is that the National Security Advisor, the DSS, the DMI, or the various agencies, whichever can move first, should invite that screwdriver man in Onitsha for questioning. So if he's so knowledgeable, he says he has a certificate in security studies, okay, maybe he knows other things that he can use to assist the Nigerian government. Because if indeed he's the one who communicated, that's an act of espionage against his own country, which could be interpreted as treasonable felony if he has information. The same Nigerian government that has been saying, to make Nigeria secure is a collaborative effort and that citizens have a role to play. His first port of call should be the Nigerian government to say this is what I know. So these are dimensions to it. But, in this age of, vain publicity, anybody can just go and grant interview to foreign journalists, parachute journalists, and say I was the one that brought him. In fact, they should seize that his laptop and investigate what is inside.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a report by Ruth McLean and with support from Taiwo Aina. Please, very, very briefly.
Can I just say, Dr. Bati, I think we're putting a lot of emphasis on the man. How about the publication that actually took his story and gave it credence?
That flew a journalist to the South.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the main, because anyone can make a claim. But the role of a journalist, or the role of a media house, is to investigate that claim and ensure that it's verifiable. And so for them to take that story from this young man, it means that they've done their own background check, or they're just amplifying a story that has far-reaching consequences without doing due diligence. And unfortunately, that speaks very badly.
Well, let's hope this is not another Janet Cook story. What? You know the story of Janet Cook. Yes. So, are you saying, are we dealing with a Janet Cook situation?
Yes.
Let's
That's all I can say.
Yeah. Now that you have watched the full video, is there anything hidden under the sun? Nigeria have becoming a laughing stock, and they thought we are just joking. The world is despising on Nigeria because there is no any civilized country that all these kind of atrocities will be going on. Imagine a journalist coming out to start talking about rubbish. Ordinary screwdriver parceller was the one feeding USC information of what that warranted the airstrike in Sokoto. And here is Dr. Morris exposing what happened on Sunday in Southern Kaduna, where almost 100 members of in the church was kidnapped by these Fulani terrorists. And here these medias telling us funny stories just because they want to pay out from the YouTube. You see? Now, the truth remains. I keep telling America not to stress themselves so much. Let America save their energy. The only solution that will end all these kidnap, all these atrocities, all these military Fulani atrocities and all that, and this propaganda that is flying all over the Nigeria, is just for them to disintegrate this country, allow the Biafrans to go on a separate way. Or is it only that will guarantee the safety of this continent called Africa? Without that, every effort the America is putting, it will become waste. Like the way the Nigeria government wasted the 9.something million hiring liars to start blackmailing what is happening in Nigeria. The people they called the lobbyists are not doing their job. That is why you saw them start writing on the way from New York that the people feeding USA was ordinary spare parts mechanic seller in Onitsha. You see, that is to say their $9 million is at work. But they cannot fool the world because the truth is everywhere. So Nigeria is gone for good. Biafra is the solution. So please, America, save your energy and just recognize Biafra. Then the rest will become a history. Who am I? I'm a messenger. If you love what I do here in this Global Love Channel TV, please don't hesitate to touch your hand for subscribe button, like and turn on the notification bell so that whenever we upload a new video like this, you'll be the first person to be notified. And in doing that, you're encouraging us to do more. And togetherness, we shall save life together, because Africa life matters. Till next time, see you in my next video. Bye for now. Thank you.